You know what I don't love? I don't love a not sweet piece of watermelon. I just don't. You probably don't either. So I'm going to teach you how to choose a ripe watermelon, and I'm also going to show you how to cut them into cubes or into wedges. Quick disclaimer, I'm going to use smaller watermelons to show you in this video because it is the dead of winter and there are no medium or large watermelons, which is what I would normally buy, so we have watermelon to eat for a couple of days around here. So I'm just going to show you with these the examples that you're going to be looking for, even if you're getting a personal size watermelon like these or a larger one if it is summer and they are in season. So the first thing you're going to look for, and you'll see these more on the larger ones, is you want to look for some sort of a webbing. This one is trying to have a little bit, but it's kind of this light brown like webbing that happens around the yellow spot. So first, look for webbing. The more webbing, the better. Second, look for this yellow spot. This yellow spot is actually how this melon was sitting on the ground. So this one was kind of sitting upright like this. So the bigger the yellow spot, the longer it was on the vine, the riper it will be. It was on the vine longer before it was picked and then transported to your store or your market, and then that's when you get it, right? So the bigger the yellow spot, the better. My favorite kind of watermelon is the one that has like, it's almost the entire side is the yellow spot. So be on the lookout for that. Both of these have a slightly smaller yellow spot, but they're also smaller watermelons. So there's that. Webbing, yellow spot, and last is like a hollow thud. So it's a little hard to do this in the grocery store, especially if it's busy and it's loud or the house music is on really loud. So you can like, you just give it a little knock. You want to hear a little thud. This one's more, I bet this one's more ripe. There's a slight difference in the sound. Over time, the more you do that, the better you'll get at hearing that sound and then knowing that when you get home and cut it and enjoy it, it's perfectly ripe and you get your nice sweet watermelon. I have two watermelons here because I'm going to show you one, how to cut it into wedges, and two, how to cut it into cubes or small pieces to use for snacks or for fruit salad. I'm going to start with a larger one for wedges. Goodbye sticker. Okay, this is pretty easy. We're going to go down from the two vine points. So we're just gonna cut straight down. Sometimes you have to do it in a circle, depending on how wide it is. And I got way off track there because I was looking at the camera and not at the watermelon. But just try to make it as even as possible. Ooh, that is gorgeous. This side looks especially delicious. From here, we're going to cut basically the same way. I generally try and stand it up so I can get a good like entry point for the knife, and then you can lay it down once you get your cut going. And then here we have these two pieces. This is so drippy. It's like, I don't actually like cut when my hand is wet, so hang on. This is so perfectly ripe. It's dripping on me as I cut it. I'm gonna do the same thing, just a little, I guess it's kind of like a machete hack. So basically we're cutting this into quarters along the, not the equator, because that would have been the other way, the longitudinal equator, whatever that may be. And then from here, you can either slice off this end. You don't want to lose any fruit there, but I usually just kind of slice off the end so that this last side is kind of a more even wedge. And then you just cut down into your wedges like this. Just be careful when you get to this end, watch your fingers, give that a make this last one thicker to keep your fingers safe, and then you're gonna keep doing that with the rest of the watermelon. And there we have all of our beautiful wedges. So for the wedges, you're gonna basically quarter it on the long ways equator. What is that called? I'm blanking. Where's my geography class? I forgot everything. Cut it into quarters this way and then slice into wedges. Okay, I'm gonna show you two ways to cut this watermelon into cubes. They start out more or less the same way. So we're gonna cut it in half, this time along the equator. This is different from when cutting into wedges. This is the opposite equator. I know, Why can't I think of that word? I should just go look it up. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this one way and this one another way. Then from here, we're gonna cut it into half and then half. So you want these sort of like bowlish quarters. This is eighths, bowlish eighths, like this, okay? And when you have a larger watermelon, these will be much bigger. You'll get more cubes up here. From here, then you can cut. You wanna give it a little rocking with your knife to make sure you get all the way to the rind and the white part. Cut this way, down the middle, and then you're gonna run your knife down this way so that you get a couple of cubes. The ones on the top will slice right off. And then from here, you can shimmy your knife along the rind, along the bottom to free the other cubes. Okay, the advantage to this is you have the rind to protect you, especially if you're new to cutting these or you're younger. The disadvantage is you lose a little bit of flesh right here, okay? So that's one way, is using kind of the bowl, the eighth bowl, if you will. The other way is you're gonna take the half that you've halved and flip it upside down, and you're going to shave off the skin, and you're gonna shave off the rind as best as you can. And you'll lose a little bit, but the closer that you get, the less that you lose, okay? So the idea here is basically shaving off all of the white part as close as you can without losing any, and then cutting into squares, kind of like how we just did inside of this other one over here. Okay, so let me keep going around the horn here. Of course, you can like scoop this off to have a snack, have a bite. You just don't want to lose. You want to lose as little as possible. Okay, so here we are, shaving around the edges, getting off as much white part, as little red part as possible. I'm just gonna lop off the top, a couple more little shaves. So same idea here. We want to make like 3-way cuts, height, length, and width, like a cube. So we'll just do however large you want your pieces, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch or so. Make your cuts this way. I'm just pushing to keep this together. Okay, do a twist. You kind of want to hold it together so that when we do this way, this is a little harder to do. I'm going to use my finger, this finger, as kind of a guide to cut evenly through, and you will have to press towards, and then when you get about halfway through, you need to be careful and move your hand to the top so that you don't cut your hand, okay? And then you're gonna do kind of the same thing here. And this is fairly soft and ripe, so it's cutting through really easily. And if you miss any pieces, just run your knife through them. A couple of these decided to slide off my little tower, and there you go. So 2 ways to cut your watermelon into cubes. Here we have our wedges and our cubes. I could easily give that big chunk to one of the kids and they would just mow down and, you know, wipe their face after. But there you have it. Now for a quick recap. Little lighting change, sorry about that. So recap, we learned how to choose a ripe watermelon based on the webbing, the yellow color, and the sound. When you give it a little knock, we're looking for a thud, a little bit of a hollow thud. Next, we learned how to cut a watermelon into wedges, as well as 2 ways to cut it into cubes, depending on which you prefer and how handy you are with your chef's knife. You can cut it either or both of those ways. And last, I wanted to share a couple of ideas for recipes. The wedges, I have made these mint watermelon popsicles in the past that are super delicious. You just cut a little slit into the rind and then put a popsicle stick in there. I don't think a skewer would work. It would probably be the watermelon would be too heavy, but a little bit, a couple of other ingredients to make little popsicles, if you will. So that's an idea. I'll put that recipe link below. Of course, fruit salad. This is great for fruit salad. Also just fantastic for snacking. I shared this in the pineapple video. If you didn't see that one, I will also link it here, how to choose and cut a pineapple. But this combination poppy seed and blush wine vinaigrette. This is not an ad. These are just my 2 favorite dressings for a fruit salad, mixed equal parts together and then tossed in your fruit salad. So you'll use, depending on how big your fruit salad is, will determine how much you use of this. So it could be 2 tablespoons each, it could be a 1/4 cup each, it could be a 1/2 cup each, depending on the size of your fruit salad. Of course, make it to taste, starting with less and adding more if you need to, but I just like this combination there. So I wanted to share that. Finally, like this video if you've learned something new. Of course, you can subscribe and hit the bell to get notified when we release new cooking videos. We always have new ideas and tips and tricks and hacks and freezer meal prep and all those things coming out here and there. So be sure to get notified of those. All right, bye for now, and we'll see you again soon.